I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about you must stick with your changes if you want your ex back.
It's all about consistency.
You know, you guys are going to be tested way more than you realize, far more than you can understand. When, no contact in many ways is easy. Okay, I know it's a challenge, but the idea of it is a simple thing, just not reaching out.
Right.
Sticking to it's not easy. But that's the easy part in a sense, because when you are in contact with that person again, you have to implement the changes that we recommend. There are certain things that you're going to want to do or not do to reattract somebody.
And something that we see commonly happen is as soon as we start interacting with our ex again, let's say they reach out, we start some small conversation, it's hard to not let the floodgates go, right? We get so excited that we're hearing from this person that we missed for so long that we can't help but just kind of overflow them with information and overwhelm them. And
you can't do it.
You can't.
You cannot do it. And you don't understand, because I've helped so many people through this. Right now, you don't see it, because all you're worried about is, are they going to contact me? Okay? Assume they're going to contact you. That's not the challenge you're going to face. What's going to be the challenge is when you're with them again, staying so emotionally centered that you don't say things that make them lose attraction, that make them think you're going to keep making those mistakes again, that are going to push them away.
Exactly.
That is much more challenging than the no contact component.
And that's why what you do in no contact matters.
Absolutely. And that's why you got to focus on the personal growth. Stop looking to see if they go on Instagram 500 times or Facebook 500 times. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to go on and they're going to go off. We know you want to feel reconnected with them, but you really want to be able to reconnect when you're going to have to navigate that gut knifing feeling in your stomach when you're in front of them, not to vomit your guts and vomit your feelings all over them again.
Exactly.
So this is a follow-up to a video we did called I Was Needy and Wanted Her Full Attention. So you're going to see they're still struggling with wanting their ex's full attention.
And trust me, we understand. We tell you because we've been there, right? So everything that we say, we try to say with compassion. We try to say with understanding. Craig has publicly shared the story of me on the phone with him on the train. So we've each had our moments where we know what it's like to feel this intense anxiety, to feel ourselves being overwhelmed, so we can't help but just let that overflow into the people around us. So we know what it's like. So we're coming at this from an angle of compassion.
Imagine that feeling you might get in your body if you were almost hit by a car. Think about that feeling. You know what it would feel like where you're like, your body's in this state of panic and shock? You can imagine that feeling like, oh my gosh. That's what it's going to feel like when you're in front of your ex again. And you're going to see. So for those of you that have been there, share a comment, let people know, because you don't realize it's going to happen like that, but it really does. So that's why I'm always trying to warn you and get you prepared for those moments. But the more preparation you have, the more likely you're going to be successful when you get in front of them again, right? So let's go on with this follow-up. This is a good one for you guys to see a lot of the challenges that are going to come. Dear Craig, I have again purchased an email coaching. I have been further for a while now and have tried to apply your tips to get her to come to me. This has worked a few times. Okay. But as you're going to see, he doesn't really stick to the plan. He kind of sticks to the plan. There's this big difference between the ones that really stick to it and kind of stick to it.
And we understand in the beginning when you start to use some of our strategies and you see it working, that can once again get that excitement going and might make you more likely to overwhelm. So
Yeah. And if you want to review the other video, it was called I Was Needy and Wanted Her Full Attention. So if you want to go back and watch that one first. He says, I was in church and did not know she was there because it was a chorus evening. When I walked in and saw her walking into the kitchen, the first thing I thought was, I'm going to go there and say hi. I was aware that I was following her again and physically stopped myself from walking to her and thought, I'm going upstairs to talk to other people. So here we have it. He caught himself. He was going to go over and say hi. Now, that is not what I told him to do in the email coaching. Mm-hmm. So he was about to make already those small mistakes. That's what I'm saying. That makes a huge difference in turning something around. But he fortunately did not do that. So let's see what he does. This all worked out well. She was the person who waved and smiled at me, and I did this kindly back. Exactly what you want. Furthermore, I did my best not to initiate contact, and later she came to me herself to ask how I was. Great. Mm-hmm. You don't want to make her feel uncomfortable, okay?
And remember the nuances of this, with this being a faith community that both of them are part of. Mm-hmm. So safety here is key. You don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable in their own community. Mm-hmm. So,
absolutely.
Big props to him for trying to be gentle about it.
We talked for a while about the things she had experienced and about myself. Her cat had died during the no contact period, and her sister told me, and she knew that I knew that her cat had died. I could hear in her voice that she was disappointed that I had not sent her a message. I'm glad that I stuck to my guns and did not send her a message. Good. So so far he's doing pretty good here. He was struggling, but he's done okay. We ended the evening in church and some jokes, and nothing else happened. Back to no contact again. Valentine's Day was coming up, and I'm glad you made that video about it because I wanted to give her a present. Again, I managed to not give it into this. It was hard, but I succeeded. Instead of giving her something, I treated myself to a therapy session.
I love that.
That's great. He did something nice for himself. Mm-hmm. Do nice things for yourself when you're going through a breakup. Really.
Yeah.
Do some little things for yourself that make you feel better. When you're going through such a hard time. After a few days of no contact, it was communicated that someone was going to have a birthday party from our church. Me and my ex were both invited. The party was on Sunday when I usually go to church. Luckily, I did not go to church that day, and that will become clear later in the story. I didn't go to church, but I did go to the party. Again, when I saw her at the party, I let her come to me. We were playing pool, we were joking around and flirting with each other. Even my friend said we looked like a couple the way we were with each other. So he's holding it together pretty good, right? He's doing pretty good so far. He's dying inside. He's dying. He's struggling. But so far, he's doing pretty good here. I thought we were doing great, and it felt like I had another chance to attract her. A little later, we all went drinking together, and she was very distant towards me. I noticed that I wanted her attention. There's that struggle. And wanted to talk to her alone. There's that feeling that I'm talking to you about. It overwhelms you. Oh, God, I want to talk to her alone so bad. Because I wasn't having fun drinking with the others, right? So now all he's consumed with is, where's she at? What is she doing? Right. I want to be around her. I want to talk to her.
Right, and it's hard to be present with everything else going around you.
Yeah.
We talk about often how being in your element can make you look very attractive, how being confident can make you look attractive. So he had an opportunity there in a social setting to make whatever conversations were interesting. Now, I wasn't there. Maybe it was like really, really boring. So maybe I would have struggled too.
Well, they were drinking, so it might have been a little fun.
I feel like with the little martini even, I don't know, rocket science could be a little interesting. I don't know.
That's got to have a big martini to make rocket science sound interesting. Okay. It wasn't long before she said she was leaving, and I wanted to leave too. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Everything inside you wants to follow them. Leave with them. I'm not having a good time anyway. Yeah, because you only really want to be around her.
Well, and it's that feeling of this is my last chance. What if this is my last chance to interact with her, right? And so our anxiety can creep up in those ways too and kind of whisper in our ear that we're never going to have another chance, that this is the last moment. We kind of romanticize that without really looking at the reality of what's happening and what's going on. Sometimes we miss how our ex is feeling or even those body language cues that they're trying to give us. He had already said at this point that she had already been distancing, right? So...
Yep, but he's going to struggle here. And again, this is what I'm trying to tell you, the difference between the people that get their ex back and those that don't. They don't follow them in that last moment, as hard as it may be. Our cars were in the same parking garage, and we walked there together, which sounds more like I walked out with her because I had to follow with her. If we're being honest here, we didn't walk out together. Unless I'm wrong, and he can comment and say, did she say, hey, let's go, will you walk me to my car? Or was it like, oh, you're leaving? I was about to leave too. I asked her if she, oh boy, here we go. Here's the mistakes. I asked her if she wanted to have dinner with me that evening. She hesitated and said we would talk about it later on the phone. Okay, so this is a mistake. Okay, you guys are in church together. She's not coming over to you and initiating like in a place where she's trying to say, let's repair this. Like, you're just supposed to be cordial in this setting and polite and friendly. This isn't a, now's my chance to try and ask her out.
Right.
Not unless she's like really flirty or something like that. Which,
and in these moments, we have to be very cautious of how our ex is behaving. Like I'd said before, a lot of times we can miss a lot of cues. So it's a challenge to be able to emotionally self-regulate while also being aware of what other people are feeling around you, are experiencing around you. Read the room, basically.
Yeah. It's tough though when you have that much anxiety. I thought we had a nice day together, so I took my chance. I hadn't heard anything for 2 hours because she had fallen asleep. That's what she said. The old I fell asleep routine, right? That's a common excuse from women, isn't it? I fell asleep.
Yeah, I mean, women are sleepy. Women need more sleep than men. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I know they do need more sleep, but I also know that it's a big excuse. I waited anxiously for a message from her. It almost felt like days. Oh, I'm sure it does feel like days. I didn't hear anything, and I wanted her to call me and get in touch with me because I don't want to be the person who is just chasing her again. Well, you're already starting to do that. Whether you want to see it or not, you already are. You're following out to the car. You're already asking her out, right? And it's going to get worse than this. Or at least he's going to struggle majorly. Here we go. Later, I called her and she didn't pick up. See, I didn't even read the next line and there he goes, chasing more. She texted me later that she had fallen asleep. I asked her if she wanted to have dinner together, and she said, no, I'll call you. All right. So if she says that, then you have to leave her alone and let her call you. Right? Now comes the big part. She called me and told me that she didn't like that I wasn't at church that morning because, get your popcorn ready, because she was there with her date and wanted me to meet him.
Oh, boy.
Brutal, right? Now talk about your anxiety causing you to completely miss the cues here. He's thinking she's interested, and she's saying, I was hoping you were going to meet my date.
Ay.
Now, what does that tell you about her mindset? Like, she's not thinking about repairing this at all to want to have him meet her date. Not at this moment.
And from a woman's perspective, I'm going to use my little woman's card here.
Pull it out.
From the woman's perspective.
Pull out the woman's card.
I speak for all women. No, I don't. I'm speaking from my perspective. But I could see how for women it can be difficult sometimes to reject men that are heavy pursuers, just in general. Or men who are pursuers, period. They don't even have to be heavy pursuers.
Yeah.
Because, we've seen and heard stories about how wrong that can go and how that can put a lot of women in danger. And so sometimes women will opt for more subtle ways of kind of letting that other person know, hey, I'm not available. Hey, I don't want you to continue pursuing me. Hey, I'm creating some distance here. And so I can't say for sure. I don't know her. I don't know what her mindset is. I can't say for sure that's what she was trying to do here. But her saying, hey, come meet my date, the sad reality is sometimes a man will respect another man more than they respect a woman's no or a woman's rejection. And I don't know if that's the case here, but I can see her saying, hey, here, come meet my date. I'm making it very well known that I'm not available to you.
Yeah, that's pretty horrible to go through that, though. That'd be an awful feeling.
And I don't want to say here that...
this poor guy, he's like thinking, all I want to do is fix this.
I know.
And she's like, hey, here's my date. I was hoping you would come to that church so you'd meet. I'm like, oh, what?
And from what I'm hearing here, it doesn't sound like this is, restraining order level or anything too wild. So I also don't want to beat him up so much for pursuing. I could see that he obviously wants this to work. He obviously likes this woman. But just to kind of paint the other side of the perspective here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ladies, leave a comment.
Let me know what
you think. What do you think? Do you think Coach Victoria pulled out a good woman card here?
Use your women's cards.
What do you think? I'd like to see the comments on that, see if they agree with you. It's an interesting take.
Sometimes you hear, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend. Rather than just women saying, oh, no, sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah. This is pretty rough, though. You don't usually hear about something like this.
Right.
I didn't know what to say. I was stunned. Remember the boy she liked in the previous email coaching? That was him.
Oh.
The person that she said she wouldn't date because he wasn't Christian. But now she took him to church. I was still amazed. Now, for those of you that may not remember that video, he had broken up with her, right? Because he was interested in her friend. And then he told, you remember that?
I remember that.
He told her that he was interested in her friend, and then the friend went and told his ex-girlfriend. So in case you guys don't remember that part. But after that, that's when she was like, oh, well, if you're going to like my friend, then I'm going to go and, date somebody, or I'm going to like somebody else that I'm interested in. The person she said she wouldn't date because he was Christian, but now she took him to church. I was still amazed. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. She asked me on the phone if I was angry. I replied that she decides who she dates, and I want her to be happy, and I still care for her. I handled that pretty good. She told me that she wasn't sure if it would work out with her new date, and they should get to know each other better first. She told me that she didn't want to eat together because she thought it was disrespectful to her new date. That is such an awful feeling to hear that your ex is more loyal to a person she's been out with on like one date with than to you, who she was with for 2 years. That is horrible. As a man, I'm going to pull out the man card here. That is brutal. That is brutal.
I don't know. Talking to her best friend.
Oh, that was definitely wrong. That was definitely wrong. No doubt about that. And he really beat himself up about that. We talked about that in the other video.
Well, and at this point, if she is pursuing something with this other person, they're also coming kind of from a faith background. I could see her trying to hold respect in high regard here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We hung up and I was paralyzed for a few hours. I was glad I didn't go to church in the morning because I would have seen this surprise and I don't know how I would have acted then. Yeah.
Start praying. Start praying for some mercy.
Oh, man. I left all the groups she was in on WhatsApp and told the others that I'm not feeling well mentally and I'm going to take some time for myself. I still had her as a contact in my phone and still had a lot of hope in this way. I looked at her WhatsApp photo every day to see if she changed it. I was constantly thinking about it, so I decided to cut all lines where I could possibly have contact with her for my own mental health because I was thinking about it every day. I think that's all normal. I didn't contact her, but I did see the plans she made in the group apps, and she also saw my plans, so we were still connected in this way. So I thought this was the best decision to leave the groups and delete her as a contact in my phone. It felt like the last nail in the coffin. Now, I'm a week further after this event of deleting her number and the news I got about her date. She hasn't called me or anything. The thought that she was out with another guy is gut-wrenching. It makes me jealous, too. Even though I want her to be happy, it still feels like my girl. It feels hopeless that I will never get her back. I miss her every day and secretly hope that she sends me something. I have also decided not to go to church for a while, also because it's not possible to take another service because we only have one, and I don't want to see her holding hands on a date. I do not know if these were the right choices I made, that I don't want to go to church anymore and let it rest. Do you have any tips on how to handle church when I start to go again? Is there any chance that we will get back together? It's already been 2 months since we broke up and she's already dating. Okay, so as far as church, I would continue to let her to come over to you when she's ready. I would let her be friendly with you and in her actions, but I would not use church as an opportunity to follow her, stalk her, or ask her out again.
Right, and I could see that it sounds like he's avoiding church because he doesn't want to be in this situation where he has to witness her and her date. And if that's the choice for your mental health, I am for it. I will say, I know some churches will do virtual services, so maybe you can still connect with your faith and feel like you're there virtually. I know you probably will be like scanning the pews and trying to see if you can find them. Right?
Row 5, seat 6. Who's in seat 7?
So take those things, in mind.
Yeah.
Just because this situation is happening doesn't mean that you have to be disconnected from your faith community. If there are people in that community that you can connect with one-on-one for coffee, invite them over, go over to their home, that can be a way to still connect with the community and not feel so distanced from everybody or everything. Be mindful of asking about her. It sounds like you just need some time to recover from this and kind of reset and reground.
Yes, I have to say that I do have a family member going through this currently, that they ended a relationship and their partner keeps going to church when they're there and they are feeling extremely uncomfortable. And just like you're saying, so it's been a very challenging situation, right? And they were asking about the family member too. Their ex is and so they're really feeling uncomfortable. And actually, one of the things I suggested was watching virtually for a while to stay away from that person for a bit. He said a little bit more here. The workbooks in the Creative Healing course are great. I just learned about symbiosis, which is really interesting. I stay in no contact and work on myself. Okay, so you gotta really keep working on your anxiety. I know it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to want to follow them. It's easy to want to park near them. It's easy to want to bump into them. Don't do it. Let her come to you. Yeah. She's interested in dating someone else right now. I don't think she's going to change her mind anytime soon. That doesn't mean she can't in the future. But I think that she would make some kind of effort to talk with him if she thinks about repairing it with him again.
Right. You have to be able to give her space. And remember how we talked about it's important to make this faith community feel safe for her and also feel safe for you. And sometimes that means a little bit of distance until the both of you can kind of equilibrate again, find an equilibrium, find a balance again. So I would give it some time. There's no reason for you to not be connected with your faith community, and that can give you a lot of support. I know you've been very hyper-focused on getting her attention, getting her validation, and I'm hoping that that's something that you can explore for yourself a little bit more. Be able to self-soothe. We've been talking about self-soothing a bit today, too. That can be a really big help. So take things slow.
You gotta do it because, you had a lot of anxiety. It came out a lot in your relationship, and there were things that you were struggling with in the relationship. I'm not saying she was perfect or that she was a perfect partner. I'm sure she was doing things that were triggering you too. But you're going to have to hold it together. And the difference between having another opportunity and not is going to be holding it together as much as humanly possible. I had another guy that I did a call with just a couple weeks ago. He went to let's say it's a work event kind of thing, followed her to the bathroom. She's like, then he starts talking to her and she's like, are you following me? He's like, no, I had to go to the bathroom. Then after the conversation ended, they start to walk away together, and she's like, wait a minute, you didn't even go to the bathroom. You're lying to me. You didn't have to go to the bathroom.
Aye.
And he's like, oh, no. And so he's like, yeah, I got to go to the bathroom. So we went to the bathroom.
Man.
But it was too late at that point. She knew his agenda. And I told him, like, you know, in these kind of situations, you got to hold it together. Don't use that as an excuse to go over and harass and bother them. It's not going to create the attraction again.
Right? You have to be able to give people some space, and it also creates mystery. Like I had said, you know, in that situation, he would have had an opportunity to show a confident self. She'd have been like, oh, what are they doing having so much fun over there? Right? So just because there's distance doesn't mean that there's no attraction, doesn't mean that there's, you know, no curiosity or no mystery. Those two things can be very separate.
Yep. So leave her alone. Let her figure out what she needs to do here. Obviously, she's hurt about what you did, that you were interested in her friend, that you asked her friend out, all the things that happened. You're in the same setting, or you have friends, a friend group, a shared friend group. She could easily start to make some kind of effort if she's interested. And I think you're going to have to let her know at some point, look, you know, I know we're going to be in church together and whatnot, but, you know, if you're not interested in trying to repair this in some way, I think it's better that we just don't spend a lot of time together because, you know, I would be interested in that and not just a platonic situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't think you should say that right now, only if she really starts to be friends with him and he's looking for more. But got to hold it together. So important.
It's the key here.
Yep. And it's very, very triggering. But these are the kind of situations where you might feel those triggers. Got to walk away. Right? All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.